And I told Lieutenant Taylor, it was dark, it was nighttime. I told Taylor, I says, if you so much as move one man of mine without first coming to me, I said, you do that again, I said, I'm going to kill you. And of course, that went over like a lead balloon. And he went Billy Aiken to the commander right away. And so they took me out of K Company, which turned out to be a real blessing. And I was put over into C Company. Well, at C Company, everything was fine. We got good targets. We did a real good job on it, and everything was working fine. When we threw with Fondue Pass, after Fondue Pass, we had to go up north, and it was about 50 miles, and that they wanted us up there because Hill 609 was the last place where the Germans had a good force, and that 609 was controlling any movement in northern Tunisia. So they got us some trucks from the Air Force, and we hitchhiked up there, got into position, and the next morning they started the attack. Well, one little side thing. We on the down we were of course all on foot, and in preparing for the attack, they designated my unit with the mortars and heavy weapons and machine guns. They designated me in reserve. Okay. In back of us, I don't know how many thousand acres of ground was covered with poppies, red poppies. And of course, you know what that was for. The Arabs were making dope out of it. And anyhow, the next day, the attack started on them, and by midday, the German artillery knocked out 3 tanks that came up from the 1st Armored Division to give us support. And the German guns, they just knocked them out right now. And the anti-tank gun that the Germans had was 47 millimeter. And that thing really packed a punch. I couldn't believe my eyes, but I saw the hole where one round went right straight through the cross-drive transmission in the front of the tank, into the compartment, fighting compartment, and out the back. And it put the tank on fire. The guys, the bodies, and this is what got me, was the bodies were burning. And if you smell burning flesh, you will never, as long as you live, forget what burning flesh smells like. Well, when I smell that, it sort of got me unhappy. And I know I was in reserve, so I turned the command of the unit over to my sergeant. He was a good man, and I figured that with the whole regiment up on this mountain trying to knock the Germans off, I figured that if it was possible for them to fire up there, that it would be possible for me to go way around to the left, circle around, and get in back of the Germans. And then I had my mortars with me. I asked for volunteers, and that's one thing I loved. Anytime I asked for volunteers from my men to go with me to do something, and I always told them, if I don't do it and I don't go, then you don't do it and you don't go. I said, I will lead you and that's it. But I said, don't let me ever find any of you falling out. No running away. So we started. I had 5 men carrying extra ammo bags with rounds for the mortar, and we started around. And I went around in back of there and knocked out the artillery. The artillery crews left the guns and disappeared. And that was the end of the artillery support for the Germans. And that was that battle was the end of the fight in Tunisia. And everything from then on was just clean up and get everything together and do all the necessary things for training and restocking and everything else.
Is that when you got the Silver Star?
Yeah, I got the Silver Star for going around behind, and it was quite a walk. But yeah, we got the...
Okay.
When I started throwing mortar shells on them, the mortar shell will kill you just as quick as a doggone artillery shell.
Yeah.
And that's why we took extra bags of ammo. I wanted plenty of ammo so I could get the entire batch of artillery. It's not just one gun, but I wanted to get all of them, and we did.
You had an encounter with one of the generals up in Italy. Which one was that?
I had what?
An encounter with one of the generals up in Italy. You were up on the line, and one of the generals came up to check on you.
Oh hell, down there in Africa.
That was Africa.
Down in Africa, Chief of Staff Omar Bradley, General Omar Bradley,
Okay.
Was right up in with all of our units. He saw the fighting and wanted to know what was going on and everything else. And he was right there. I know because I saw him. And then that was in Africa. And then in Italy, we had just finished quite a battle down in what we called the pool table. The pool table they called it the pool table because it was a flat area, just like a pool table, but it wasn't very big. I would say it was probably 8 or 10 acres. And we had quite a battle there in that little flat spot. And we got through with that, and as we pushed on, I took the machine guns from, this goes from, if you look at a map, it's from Piedmont d'Alif down in the valley, and we went from there up the foothills, and there was a mountain called Raviscanini. There was a little town, maybe 2 or 3 houses, I guess, but it was up in Raviscanini, and we were in position we could fire down, and down the mountain, that is. And